All systems go. Right on. Too loud out there? Good. All right, Coach. Hey, thanks for everyone for joining out there in, the universe or whatever. Hey, Coach, thanks for joining us, man. Heck of a game.
Yeah, it was fun.
Let me get to my notes real quick, man. I got a lot to say about this game. I think coming into this game, the thing that we wanted to see again, what was the grit that this team has?
Right.
Can they dig deep and pull it out? I think they proved it to us. They proved it to themselves.
Right.
You guys had a great game. Congratulations on your win.
And it was one of those things we talked about a little bit last week where we really challenged the kids and let them know this is not who we are. It was a one-game kind of one-off. We all understand how poorly it went, and this is who we are. This is the team I've seen in practice since, beginning of June. So I was very, very happy with what we put out there this week. It was great.
Yeah, man, you guys were firing on all cylinders. Let's talk about the pregame thing, right? So sports analysis around town called the game for Virgin Valley, 43-11. Did you mention that to the kids? Did you use that as motivation? If so, how?
Yeah, you can ask the kids. It was up on the board. I just put Virgin Valley 43, Boulder City 11. Evidently, you guys suck. And just left it at that on the board. Didn't say anything else and just put it up there. And, I wanted them to see what they think. And the thing with that, too, it's, I think a lot of people put a lot of value and emphasis on what Ray Brewer has to say about our team.
Sure.
He hasn't been to a single game. I have not talked to the man all year. He has not done a single thing that has to do with us. It's literally throwing darts at a board. The guy has no idea what we are, and that's okay. You know what I mean? It kind of works. It works both ways. When sometimes we're the underdog. It's that little bit of extra oomph, but also when he has picked us to win, I'm also like, this is all he thinks we're going to win. It's literally not like you could ask Stevie Wonder what we're going to look like in the game, and he's got just as good advice as Ray Brewer does.
Yeah, that's good to mention that, because these guys, like you said, they're not attending the games. They don't know our weapons. Our weapons really were the story of the game, right? From my vantage point, it looked like Virgin Valley had studied us, and they game planned for us. They just didn't have the depth to stop everything we had. They were playing Easton Wellborn well. They had seen the video, but then you've got Brady Sorensen and Gabe Ritchie, oh, by the way, also, and then Gage Hopkinson can just as easily run it. So.
Right, and that's one of those things where this week, especially, we always go in with like a game plan, and so far this year, we've pretty much stuck to that game plan. And this week, when we went into that trips bunch, that really wasn't in our game plan, but they didn't adjust to it. So then we went back to it, and they still didn't adjust to it. And they never really adjusted to it, so it was something that we really didn't practice much this week, but that ended up being 90% of our offense.
So when did you practice that? Where have you stuck that into practice before?
We started that, I think, against Mater. I think we started running that a little bit. We ran it a few times. We ran a little bit against Meadows. I don't know if we went to it much against Moapa. But, I mean, we throw it in there every week, but it really wasn't something that I thought was going to be huge for us. I thought they would see what we were doing, and I think with, little behind-the-scenes thing, we were running the ball to our side the whole time.
Yep.
And they adjusted to it, but I don't think they could tell that their kids didn't adjust as far as they needed to, but we could see it because it was right in front of us, and
also
we just kept going.
Yep.
And if you look at it, we never ran it to their side. We always ran it to our side because we could see where they were at.
I like that. Good strategy. Let's talk about running real quick. Gabriel Ritchie had a great night. He ran for 64 yards, 15 carries, I think. Let's talk about Gabriel Ritchie.
We're going to say 63 yards, but he had over 100. That last touchdown run, that was a touchdown. That was
definitely a touchdown. We disagree with what was called on the field. I could see where it might have looked that way, but the video's online. You could see it. I posted it myself.
And it was one of those things where I actually yelled at Easton after. I was like, you actually didn't block anybody on this play. You got called for a hold, but you actually didn't block anybody. So,
Yeah, so that was a great run. Man, I tell you what, I don't know how Instagram stuff works, but that thing's got over like 17,000 views and 1,500 likes last time I checked, which was this morning. It's probably over 20,000 now.
Yeah.
So it's just one of these things that's kind of flying away.
Yeah. No, and that was, with Richie, that was a big thing with where we talked about last week against Milwaukee, like the excitement of getting him back, and even what he kind of adds to it. Where he carried the ball 15 times, and like I said, that's not. We didn't want to be the team that just we're going to throw the ball, but not as much as we had been throwing. And now having him back, and last week he was a little slow getting out of the gate and kind of getting used to playing again.
Yeah.
And this week he really ran hard and really just that's that little extra thing that nobody had seen yet.
Yeah, he was outstanding. He really was. Let's talk about another standout, Brady Sorensen.
He had a decent game.
Yeah, he did. Eight catches, 164 yards, something like that. 9 catches.
Yeah, but he had a couple drops too, which is weird. So
wow.
We're gonna keep his ego in check. He had a few drops. It was all right. It was an okay game.
He really turned it on, and I thought it came from that thing where you pick your poison.
Right.
We're either gonna, Easton's gonna beat you or Brady's gonna beat you. He caught a touchdown pass as well. Tipped it to himself, which amazing focus, amazing catch. I don't know if you guys run tip drills.
No, we have in
Brady
the past,
does.
but he does. Yeah. Well, and I almost went crazy when he first, because he intentionally tipped it. It wasn't like he tried to get it. And I was like, what is he doing? But again, that's a thing. Looking at the way they lined up, and early on they were playing way off of Brady, which is a mistake because now we can get him the ball right there, and he's one-on-one with somebody that he's going to be bigger, stronger, and faster than. But then flip it around and they want to move up on him. All right, well, now he's faster than you. We're going to run past. So we did a little bit of both, and
he's got hops too.
No matter what you do, you're wrong with him.
Yeah, good problem to have there, Coach. Gage Hopkinson also passing for 210 yards, 14 attempts or 21 attempts, 14 completions. Amazing game. There was talk. We're going to get to this later. You don't have to opine if you don't want to. There was talk that he might not be the best quarterback in 3A.
Right.
Went to Virgin Valley, took on who was considered the best quarterback in 3A. And man, I tell you, if you were at that game, there's no question about who the best quarterback on the field was this evening.
No question at all. And the thing too, and I think you could kind of tell the difference between the two. And when we were down, he stayed calm and collected. And what are we doing next? Where are we going? There was like that intensity of, hey, we could do this, coach. Let's try and do that. There was no getting upset because we took a couple big sacks and things like that kind of hurt us. But we understood that was part of our game plan this week. They were going to blitz a lot of guys and they were going to get us every once in a while. And we fought through it, and he kept his cool and kept running hard. Where on the other side, there was a lot of things going wrong for them that hasn't gone wrong all year, and you could see it on their kid's face. He didn't handle it as well, and as far as I'm concerned, and I will have our kids back till the end, like, our guy's better.
Yeah.
Period.
I mean, he's just really good. It's hard. I mean, if you watch him play, it's hard to deny.
Right.
He runs really, really well. He has great vision. When he was first getting started earlier in the season, he had some, pick the wrong direction type of things. But now you see him reading, you see him. And your O-line shifts, man. Your pushes are amazing. I'm really impressed with your O-line.
Yeah, it's taken a little bit of time for them to get used to it. A lot. We've got a couple kids that haven't played a ton and haven't been asked to do the pass block stuff, and it's different. They've always been pretty good at getting that push and like understanding the angles and things like that. But being a pass blocker is difficult because you've got a guy running at you and you're kind of giving ground, and they're getting better and better each and every week.
Yeah, listen, just for the record, in my opinion, there's no tougher guys on the field than the linemen.
Oh, absolutely.
They tackle every single play. They're full contact every single play. Yeah. That alone, full contact every play. There's no,
Well, and I'll tell you this,
20 yards and then came back. There's none of that.
It's funny because one of the receivers will come off with something hurts, and everybody's like, oh my God, are you okay? Is everything okay? Is everything all right? And Sam Bonner comes off and his arm's hanging in his other hand, and we're like, you're good to go, right? Get back out there,
What are you doing over here? Yeah, let's move on to defense.
Yes.
Which was amazing as well. So everything's kind of starting to come together.
Right.
I'm impressed with what I'm watching. You know, like you said, let's keep the egos in check. We got to play the other teams, but things are looking good.
Yeah.
Defensively, Travis Hess and Sam Bonner penetrating the line, coming at. These guys come in screaming.
Right.
I mean, it's so intimidating.
Yeah.
They're huge. I posted a video. It's right there at the end. That's their audio. That's them going, ah. Yeah. That's them. Each and every time. Mason Terrell, I'll throw him in there as well because those three are really wreaking havoc on quarterbacks.
Well, and we actually talked about it today at practice. It's those three, and Kingma, Josh, is in there, and he doesn't have the stats. It doesn't come across with like a bunch of tackles or sacks or anything like that, but he is just chewing up offensive linemen, and he's got 2 or 3 on him, and he's always right there. And I told him the other day, I go, you know, there's guys that get paid that play in the NFL that they might only get 30 tackles a year, and they're paid to get double teamed and stuff up the line. I'm like, and that's what you're doing. And it's funny, we talked about that on Thursday, and then that's exactly what he did Friday night. And just
57.
destroyed.
Josh Kingman. Yeah,
and
he's a man.
With all those guys, you know, Sam's had a lot of good games. Travis has had like a couple games where he's really stood out. Mason is still getting his legs under him from the early injury, but he's making plays, and a lot of times, which we didn't have last week, those guys might not have made the big plays, but they were doing their job. They were doing their responsibility and made it so somebody else could make the play. And that's kind of what we were lacking 2 weeks ago.
That's right, because again, it's like we talk on offense. You have to account for everyone on our defense.
Right.
You can't just pick your poison. Are you going to take Sam Bonner 55? Or are you going 57 this time? Then you got one out there, and you got 13.
Right. And then the other thing, too, we made a little bit of an adjustment this week and kind of bumped our linebackers back a little bit more. We were getting a little bit too tight. And, you know, again, Richie kind of getting his legs under him. And Charlie, I think Charlie had 12 tackles on Friday night, and Richie had 7. Where, you know, I'm not just the week before, but I'm talking the whole rest of the season. I don't think our linebackers made 19 tackles total in those 3 games. You know, they were just everywhere and just flying around, and they're like madmen. I loved it.
Charlie Stewart's got to be the thing that came out of left field that you weren't expecting, because this guy is a beast, man. He's so aggressive.
And like the funny thing too is I met him during baseball, and you know, he was on the varsity baseball team, and really during the playoffs is when I started talking to him a little bit more. And he's just such a quiet, like unassuming kid, and he's a psycho. Like he really is.
He
like,
really is.
There's a play in the video where he made a play at the end of the game, and he gets up and he's basically yelling at the entire Virgin Valley sideline, and Sam Bonner picked him up and carried him away. It looked like he was going to fight all of Virgin Valley. I loved it.
Yeah, he's so tough, man. He probably wants you to blitz every down,
Yeah.
He when he brings it, it's a play. He's a playmaking difference.
And he's not.
Defense.
You line him up with every other guy on the team, I don't know that he beats more than half of them in a race. You know what I mean? But when you put him on the field and he makes his read and he goes, he's faster than anybody we got. You know, it's a really impressive thing. I have been extremely pleasantly surprised with Charlie and what he brings to it. When they told me he was our linebacker, he was like, yeah, he's the linebacker coming back. And I was like, ooh, really?
The quiet one?
All right, cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, every week he's just playing better and better.
Yeah, he is. I'm going to give a shout out to Derek Render, too. Got that 2-point conversion.
Yes, it was huge.
Tied up. That was huge.
Yeah.
And then an interception, too, that they called it back. But, man, that was a bummer, man.
It was a bummer, but there was a penalty on that one. I will say it was definitely one of our, it doesn't seem like it in the time and everybody gets worked up, but it was definitely one of the better officiated games we've had this year. When you look back, like the things that we got called on, they were penalties. That's all right, you know.
Yeah, I think Brady's dad might disagree a little bit.
Yeah. You guys have to, and
you can hear him in another video that I posted.
That
guy, he's like, what does he say? Now it's iconic. I'm going to take the audio. I'm going to use it. He's like, open your eyes. You got to listen to that other video, the promo for this show. Anyway, great game. Look, my notes disappeared. We're talking football. Virgin Valley was overmatched. What did you say to the kids when you guys won? Tell me about what you talked about this week and about the win.
Well, I think first thing started at halftime, where like I really told them, I go, listen, you guys, and there was a little bit of not panic, but like that you could see a little bit of like, oh no, because you know last year we beat them by 1 or 2. You know, it was like a extra point kind of thing. It was either 8-7 or 8-6 or something like that. And going into halftime being down 7-6, there was a couple comments about, where we were at with that. And I go, listen, it's halftime. I go, I'm not worried. We said all along that was the play we were going to run when we scored. We were going to go for 2, try and get it to Brady in the corner. It was there. We just hadn't accounted on Brady scoring a 70-yard touchdown before that and him being winded. But, and told him, like, this is adversity. We're down. We need to go. I go, they're starting to panic a little bit because they didn't expect it to be a game. They expected a running clock by the end of the first half.
Yep.
And the fact that it was a game, you can see them starting to push a little bit, and really just told them, I go, you guys are playing good. You just got to go out there and play harder. You're doing all the right stuff, but get there and like finish these runs, finish these tackles, and really start hammering it home. And they did. And I told them after the game, this is the Boulder City team that I've seen since May. These are the guys that I've been excited about. These are the guys that I truly believe can contend for a 3A state championship, and it's taken us 4 weeks to get there. There's been signs of it here and there. Mm-hmm. And by no means did we play a perfect game on Friday night, but this is what I see in practice every day and why I'm excited to be out there with them.
That's what I see too. Mm-hmm. We see it the same way because I look at the execution of things, the attempt, how close was it, was everyone moving in the right direction, right, or was everyone going in the wrong way? And we've talked about this offline a couple times where not everything's connecting yet, but it's looking really good.
Right.
In this particular game against Virgin Valley, to me it was like, boys, it's just a matter of time now, right. Because your guys are doing everything really well. Now it's just a matter of time. Their defense was in it, and man, we deflated them.
Right.
Going into half, exactly like you said. Mm-hmm. I mean, they should have been up, in their opinion, in their minds, they should have been up 20-0 by half. And when they weren't, that affected them. Right. So you always got to consider the other side
100%.
too.
And that was, the other thing too, that the fourth down where we stopped them right before half, that's their go-to play. They try and get the ball to number 1 coming across, and Easton read it right off the bat, and on the film you could see it. You could see like kind of the way he starts moving in, and as soon as that guy broke, he broke on it, and like at that point I knew where everybody else was a little like, we had the game. You know what I mean? It was just a matter of time. Like we were going to start going. We were clicking. Everything was good.
Yeah. When you see that momentum like that, you're like, no, man, just keep doing what you're doing. Right. Don't lose it.
Right.
Let's talk about Anthony Chavez real quick because I felt, I always feel this way. The one ref told me to be quiet. You saw that. I don't know if you saw that. Yeah. If anyone attended the game. He says, "Who are you, a coach?" I said, "No, I'm media." I said, "Show my badge." I'm like, "I'm media." And he goes, "Well, media, no comments." I'm like, I'm the media. That's all I do is comment. Like, how is that?
That's kind of my thing.
Yeah. It's so this is private.
Did you invite him on the coaches podcast?
No, I will though because I really like that ref. He's a good guy. But the line judge or whoever is that guy down in the center, he kept calling Chavez for something that I thought was.
Yeah, that's one of those things.
Didn't need to be called.
It happens at kind of every level. The little guys get this. The high school guys get this.
Okay.
It's kind of a. It's whatever that crew, like a kind of point of emphasis, is for them.
That's their thing.
And, people don't call that. Technically, you can't move the ball. I didn't see anything wrong with what he was just adjusting it. It's not like, and that's what I said to the guy. It's not like he picked it up and moved it a yard and then we all moved up. He's moving the ball. Nobody's confused with it being a snap. Nothing. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those, like, extra things that, I guarantee if they do a different game this week, a center's going to get called with that this week, and we just need to overcome it. And we talked to Chavez after the second time he got called with it, and I was like, just don't do that anymore.
Yeah, I mean,
we can argue about it all you want, but that's just how it works.
Yeah, so. Yeah. Well, good adjustment on his end too to focus on that, not doing that because I don't even think it was something he was doing consciously.
No, and it's
doing his thing.
Yeah, and like the other thing too that I was laughing about is. They kept putting the ball because of the wind sideways, and nobody snaps the ball this way. You have to turn. You know what I mean? So like just the little turn, the guy was like, he still keeps turning the ball, and I go, you're turning the ball. Like put it normal.
Yeah, you're very fiery on the sideline. I like you're calm here.
I disagree.
But I heard that delivery.
I don't think I'm fiery at all.
Yeah,
very calm.
Well, thanks, Coach. Let's talk about the game coming up. Democracy Prep. How do we look? I've heard these guys. They come to play.
Yeah,
that's what I've heard.
They're very, very athletic. They've got quite a bit of speed. They're a team that when you watch them on film, they're 2 2 or 3 plays a game away from being a 4-1, 5-0 team. You know, they're getting drops here, penalties on like long runs and stuff
the
like
little
that.
things, yeah.
Yeah. Our big thing this week was just, you know, we've got to keep that energy and enthusiasm and everything the same no matter who we're playing. You know, this isn't, again, this gets into that weird, it's not a team that we have history with. Yeah, we've played them the last couple of years, but it's not a Virgin. It's not the Big Four, Virgin, Moapa, or Pahrump.
Right.
So just coming out with that intensity and not letting it go. I've told the kids over and over again, the longer we keep them in the game, the worse it is for us. We've got to jump out early and let them know we're here to play.
Right on, right on. Quick question for you. How's your dad doing?
Good. He's actually going to be in town this week for the game.
Oh, right on.
So he finally got to watch it on the, what is it, the NFHS feed or whatever.
Nevada
so
football.
he was all able to get that done. We had Asa couldn't go to the game this weekend, and my wife was in Germany this weekend, so they both were able to kind of watch it back and forth on that. We actually made a substitution late in the game because Asa had texted me because somebody wasn't doing their job, and we didn't realize it, and I got a text, get him out of the game.
Yeah, nice. I notice those things too every once in a while. But
Yeah,
you know what?
yeah.
It's high school football,
Right.
and now you guys are doing a good job, man.
Yeah,
I'm
it's a lot of
very
fun.
impressed. Yeah. Well, thanks, Coach. Good luck. The game coming up this week. I'm looking forward to it. Looking
Sounds
forward to
good.
meeting your dad, and we'll see you next week for another discussion.
Sounds good. All right, talk to you later.
All right, guys, don't go anywhere because up next we've got Coach James Krakalici of the Boulder City Bears. We're going to talk to him about his Bears, and then we've got Preston Reynolds going to join us, and we're going to do some football analysis.
Go Bears.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine.
All right, perfect. All right, everyone, this is Coach James Krakalici, and he is the head coach, or I guess what are you, the organizer, president,
I'm
something?
the president of the Boulder City Bears, and I'm the head coach for the 13U tackle team.
Right on. Yeah. So tell me about your Bears, man, because I hear they're doing good. I mean, flag football's going well. Your tackle teams are doing well. Tell me about your Bears.
Well, as you know, this is our inaugural season, so we had to build it from the ground up. So we had a lot of things to do in a short amount of time.
Right.
But overall, this success, which I look at as a proof of concept year, was a resounding success all around the field. Our flag program is outstanding, and we have 100 kids total in the full program, which is not bad for a first-year program.
Sure, yeah. Especially for Boulder City, with small community.
Exactly. We're a tiny town in a big area.
People are watching, they're 100 kids.
100 kids, yeah. That's
for us, that's a lot, yeah.
It is when you have a high school of only 647.
Exactly. Yeah.
In fact, between the high school team and our program, I mean, you have the majority of the kids, like a good percentage of the kids, probably 1/3 of all of the kids in the entire town are playing football, which is a big deal. And I know that when we play in NYS, Nevada Youth Sports, or National Youth Sports Nevada, they were impressed with the amount of kids that we were able to bring from our small town, and even the percentage of the amount of kids that play football. But like I said, so the Bears in general, I'll move on to tackle now. So our tackle team, it's a building process. The idea of creating this program was to shorten the learning curve when they get to Boulder City High School. For the last, I guess it was 7 years, since 2016, there was no youth football in Boulder City.
Yeah.
So if kids wanted to play youth football, their parents had to sign them up over the hill. not a lot of people could do that. I mean, some people just like to show up in town and go, or they can't get out of work early enough, or there's various reasons why it's difficult to do. Bringing it back in town was very important to us. So what we're doing is we're shortening that learning curve for kids so that they're not starting as freshmen, and that's just going to make Coach Bubba's program better. In the long run, they're getting that experience. Our kids now at 13U have the exact game playing experience as the freshmen do. They've played the exact amount of games.
That totally makes sense, sure.
Right. And
with the exception of a couple students that might have played in some other clubs and stuff before.
Exactly. Yeah. But I'm saying on the whole, you have more kids now playing together. And playing together is the other important part.
Sure.
And that's something that I'd like to stress even today for anyone that may be watching that doesn't have their kids in our program and may have sent them over the hill.
What is that?
It's important to create chemistry between your players.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
You can do that together. We're running Boulder City High School's program. Okay, I have a pared down version of Boulder City High School's.
Right, the conceptual plays
exactly,
and whatnot.
The play, like generally speaking.
Yeah. Yep.
So they're learning the terminology. They're learning the plays. They're learning the way we do things in town. When you send your kids over the hill, maybe the teams have been around longer, but they're not in our program. And we have coaches whose kids are in our program. We have coaches that are at all of our games that may watch some of our practices. You're getting seen now in 6th, 7th, right now 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. They know what we have coming in to the freshman program now. So those kids have a leg up next year to those kids that decided to play over the hill.
Yeah.
Some of them said they, and again, we're a new program. Some of them weren't aware that we were there before they went over there. Some of them chose to play for an elite team in the elite division. I mean, I can't say anything to that, but they made those decisions for whatever reason.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No,
but your program is doing well.
Yes.
And it's here to stay.
Yes.
And there's no reason why they can't come back in the future,
exactly.
or join up in next season.
And the plan next year is to add another team. So right now we have a 13U team. The plan next year is to have a 14U team and a 12U team, so that we cover ages 10 through 14. And everyone in those age groups, we basically give them 4 years to prepare for high school football.
Yeah.
Get in now. If you come in as a 10-year-old, you'll get 4 years of experience before you even step on the field at Boulder City High School. There's no there's no way to explain how important that is. Playing experience and game experience is the most important thing. And that's one of the things that was actually hard before this year when Coach Bubba was able to add a B team. The freshmen who were playing JV last year, they didn't touch the field.
Right.
So you're talking about another learning curve that, now there's a freshman team that actually is
one season before you're on varsity.
Exactly. Yeah. So you have now they're playing in games. So you have sophomores playing in JV games, freshmen playing in freshman games.
Right.
Our 8th graders and 7th graders playing in games. Game experience is the only thing that, you could practice till the cows come home, but game experience is different than just practice. And there's a lot of things you learn, the speed of the game, how, different things that you can't do.
The cows come home. Cows come home about 9 o'clock in Boulder City.
Yes, they do. Everything shuts here early, but that's what it is.
So, what's your record then? What's your tackle record? How are you guys doing right now?
We're still working on getting our first win.
All right, okay.
So we did, but that being said, we did travel out to Moapa and we pasted them in the preseason. Moapa's not actually in our league, so we can't brag that we beat them during the regular season because we don't get to play them. Virgin and Moapa play essentially in the Arizona League.
Okay, that makes sense.
Rather than coming in. And we also play in a much harder league than they play in, to be honest with you. We're playing against teams that we will never play against as a 3A school in Boulder City. We're playing 5A teams, 5A schools, feeder teams. We're playing regional teams, which pull from all over.
This is your first season.
Exactly.
I mean, all of those other teams have a lot of experience. They have that camaraderie you're talking about already within their organization. So, good on you, Coach. So thanks for starting it. I think the thing is, even with the parents that may have decided to stay with the elite, let's be clear. before you started this, there were no other options. So if you wanted to get some football experience and you wanted to be, a Brady Sorensen on the field, you had to leave Boulder to do that. So yeah, no harm, no foul. But I'm glad you're doing what you're doing.
And that's why I'm saying in the future, I hope those people consider staying within town, understanding what we're building here. What we're building is very important for the look. And we discussed it. It's funny. This is kind of a preview for our podcast, which hasn't released yet.
Right.
And I know I said it on that. The heartbeat of this town tends to be Friday nights on that football field, because the amount of people that come to the games, it is clear that it is important in this town. And there's only so many places in Nevada where that's the case.
Right.
Because, you have basically suburbs around two major cities. That's what the entire state is. But you don't have a lot of small towns. You have us, essentially Virgin, and Moapa and Pahrump and that's why we tend to be the same types of teams and tend to be rivals, and we're never going to end up leaving 3A because we're all similarly situated teams.
In our region, you're 100% right. In the north, they have a lot more smaller towns that are, comparable to Mesquite, Boulder City, and Pahrump.
Right.
But down here, that's it.
Yes.
Moapa, Virgin Valley, Pahrump, us, and then everything else is, either a charter school or, not really a rural school. So.
But if you think, when you drive from the edge of Henderson to Summerlin, I mean, unless you knew what town you were in, you could be in one giant town. It's one town rolling into another.
Yeah.
But then you leave and you drive down the highway and you come to us, which is a self-contained town.
That's my favorite. That's my favorite stretch of roadway in all of America. Is that stretch between Wagon Wheel and Veterans?
Although it makes it impossible to get contractors or anything to come out here because they think it's so far away.
It is far away. Well, let's talk about football real quick. I want to bring in. You got anything else on the Bears? I don't mean to cut you short, but
no.
I want to bring in Preston. You've been going to all the games, home and away.
Yes.
So I want to get your, what you've seen when the Eagles started this season, and then we're going to get Preston in as well. But
very
tell
quickly,
me about your Bears.
The one last thing on the Bears, I want to make sure that people know that this week is our first and only home game that we have within Boulder City. The way NYS schedules us, they schedule us all over. So we could be the home team at a neutral site. We had a couple of home games at Basic, in fact. This is the first time that we will actually be within the confines of Boulder City.
Oh, I got you.
So I'd really love to get the town out there and get these kids to get a feel for what this means to play here.
What time is the game? When's the game?
It's 3:15 on Saturday, which I know is not the most convenient time in the world.
Busy.
It's
I'm messing with
a Saturday afternoon. But if we could get as many people out there as possible, I think it would be great. I think you're going to see some great things out of my kids. He's putting it on his calendar now.
I'm penciling it in. No, I'm teasing you.
Pencil us in. Maybe I'll get you a press pass.
3:30 at the Boulder City High School field.
Yes, 3:15.
3:15. All right, and it's the 13U team. Well, who's playing that day?
It's a 13. I have to double check with NYS if they schedule. I'm assuming they scheduled other teams before us because they don't typically only have one game at a particular location.
Right.
But we only have one team, so most likely we're the last game of the day at 3:15, which is okay. I'd rather be the last game because we have to come out and we have to do it up because this is our home turf. This is unlike the other teams who aren't really like a town. We can say we're Boulder City. It's not like the various other teams where they have their home field and they know they're going, and that's the high school they're going to go to.
Right.
This is the high school our kids are going to go to.
Yeah, for sure.
So this is home. This is really home for us.
All right, so Boulder City, come out Saturday, October 7th at 3:15 at the Boulder City High School football field to watch the 13U tackle team coached by James Cracolici. This is their inaugural season. Come show them some love. Sound good?
Sounds good to me, my man.
Thanks, Coach. All right, don't go anywhere. We're going to bring Preston in, and we're going to share our thoughts on this current Boulder City Eagles team. Do a little, NFL or football talk.
That sounds good.
NFL, yeah.
I know you, man.
That's next week. All right, here we go. Preston get his headphones on. What's going on? Something caught right there? Are you good? You all right?
Oh.
All right, man. So we got Preston and we got Coach James Cragalici. I want to talk to you about you guys because you guys go to the home games, you go to the away games. This team, they're starting to click. They're starting to fire on all cylinders. What do you see, Preston? Tell me what your thoughts are on this big win over Virgin Valley last week.
I think it was a great way to come out over this past loss to Moapa.
Yeah.
I think people wanted to see how this team responded to it, and I think they responded well. You know, they silenced a lot of people who thought we were just a joke, and those first 3 wins were just nothing. And I mean, besides Moapa, Virgin is very good, competition. It was a game to see what Boulder can do.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, they were well coached. No doubt about it. I mean, I could see why people were predicting they were a good team. They were solid. They had good players, good plays. We were just able to shut them down. Coach Cragalici, tell me, you were telling me earlier about the guy who had made the comments about 43-11 Virgin Valley over Boulder City. This week, he's changed his tune. Tell me about that.
Well, I think it's funny because in the paper today, and I know you briefly touched on with Bubba in your discussion earlier about how he doesn't come to the game, so he doesn't know. And he basically said he doesn't know what to think about Boulder City. He essentially said that, it's, they get blown out by Moapa, but then they beat Virgin Valley, who I think they believed is a better team than Moapa from reading those summaries every week. And then we beat them by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
So I think he was completely blown away, and obviously by picking us down 30 points. But in another way, it just shows that he doesn't really know this team. We do because we watch them, but I think that we didn't even really see the full team until this week. And Bubba did talk about that. We didn't have all our weapons, and they're learning a new offense, there's a learning curve to that kind of stuff, and we're just getting better. And I'll tell you, this was one heck of a win.
Yeah. Hey, tell me about Gage Hopkinson, Preston. Tell me what you think about him. There was some talk about that perhaps Virgin Valley's quarterback was the best quarterback in Division 3A. Obviously, we're going to have our own opinion. It's going to differ from that. We're going to think it's Gage Hopkinson. But tell me, why do you think that's a legit claim for Gage?
Because I just don't think that stats are the only thing to say. Maybe this Virgin kid throws, has more passing yards, has more touchdowns. He's also played 2 more games than Gage. And Gage is right there, 100 less yards total. But if you watch Gage, you see how developed he is, not just like in this offense, but with football in general. Mm-hmm. His knowledge is through the roof. For how young he is, his knowledge is through the roof. And like Bubba said, in those situations where it really matters, he's calm. He's so calm.
Yeah, he's cool as a cucumber.
That's what you want to see out of your quarterback. And he's a leader. He's a great leader. I've heard it from all the coaches that was the difference between, Gage and some of the other quarterbacks that have been here. He is a leader to this team, and that's exactly what you want out of your quarterback.
Yeah, it's someone that can lead the team, lead them on the field, and stay cool, calm, collected. Their quarterback, they posted, you guys were at the game in Virgin Valley. They posted 249 for the quarterback.
That seems like a little home cooking on the stats to me because I did not see 200
I didn't see
yards.
250 yards passing.
I think
not total passing.
The score would be different, and the movement up and down the field would have felt different. They did not move the ball against our defense,
especially in that second half.
Without doubt.
I saw a couple of big plays, but I don't think enough for 250. We shut them down in that second half.
And maybe that's why his stats are so high. You'd hate to say it, but look, there's more to being a quarterback than stats, and even arm. You have some people that have amazing arms and can throw the ball on a dot, but can't read a defense or can't make those decisions on the field, or like you said, aren't a leader in the huddle, which you have to be. The quarterback is the general on the field. I don't know enough about the kid from Virgin Valley, but I know what we have, and we have that.
I'll be honest. I was watching him because we were talked about that, Preston and I on the way up to the game, and he's good. you see him think he's a good quarterback. He's solid. I don't think that there's any doubt that he's a really, really top-notch quarterback, potentially the best in 3. I just don't think anyone had seen Gage play yet. And when you see the two play, obviously now we've got something to go by. They were on the field last Friday night.
Right.
And when you see them play, it's a lot different when they're playing. I think his name is Gunnar Cortez. I think Cortez, he just didn't have enough weapons. And man, let me tell you, when Travis Hess and Sam Bonner and Mason Terrell and Josh Kingma are coming at you, dude, those dudes are big, man, and they're fast.
And he had some big drops on him. They kept trying that little bubble,
the other way.
That little bubble screen out to the running backs. He did it, and at least 4 of them were dropped. So he hit them right in the hand. So it's not completely his fault either. I'm not trying to make excuses for him, but I mean, you need your guys that are hitting the hands to catch the ball.
There was actually a pretty big one that the dude dropped. And I was like, man, thank God he dropped that ball, man. It was going to be a big play.
Yeah, that them. One kid that dropped 3. I think one kid dropped 3 and the other running back dropped 1. And I know that kid that dropped 3, I was razzing him a little bit. That I screamed out, "You're having a bad day, buddy. You're having a bad day." I forget what number it was.
Preston, tell me about what you think about this team going up against Democracy Prep. Did you play them when you were on the team?
No, but I was in high school when they did. It was my freshman year, so I never played them. But my brother did, and they weren't good back then. They got blown out by us. But I mean, I've been reading some stuff, listening, hearing from people that apparently they're not such a joke as they were.
No slouches. They can't be overlooked.
No, but I think our team is a real threat, going into this game, and I hope Democracy Prep watches this Virgin game and realizes that we're not something to be taken lightly.
Yeah, the other thing I want to give a shout out to, I always miss Derek Render, man. He plays such a solid game. He's like Josh Kingma, easy to overlook because he's doing his job so well. But he's shutting down that safety. He had an interception. They called for a penalty. Great awareness, really good defensive leader when he's on the field.
And quite frankly, the line is wreaking havoc.
Oh, totally.
I mean, the defensive line
on
there. Yeah, the defensive line is wreaking havoc out there. I mean, those kids are. I mean, I know how good we were last year and how close we were to even moving on past we were, but man, there's something about this line. I mean, even subtracting the biggest player on the field, this line just feels dangerous every game. You're just watching them, and they weren't even at full strength for a couple of weeks, and now they're at full strength. I mean, that rotation out there is something special, I'll tell you.
You talk about Derek Render on the defensive side of the ball, but he's still a legitimate threat on the offensive side of the ball.
Also, yeah.
And, him and Jappy get kind of shadowed by Easton and Brady, who, Brady makes those big plays. Easton gets a lot of the targets, but, there are going to be the games where Easton and Brady are shut down, and they're going to be double covered. And, Derek and Jappy, they're going to be ready.
100%. You're totally right.
We've seen like sparks of it where, they make their plays when they have to, and they're always ready. So I think those two are still not people to be taken lightly, players to be taken lightly.
Let me ask you a question. Can you see Preston's face with the mics?
It's a little, the chin's cut off.
Chin's cut off? There you go. Yeah, you're right. He's tall. He's super tall. He's got to get into the view. One thing I noticed, let's talk about this real quick. So Moapa had spread us out. Their offense had spread our defense out, opened up these lanes, and they were running all over. Virgin Valley, I felt like they watched that video. They tried to do the same thing. It didn't happen. So good on you, boys. Good on you, Eagles. I think Coach Bubba left already, but good on you, boys, for fixing that. But they did get some plays around the edge, right? So it almost seems like we're trying to find this balance here. What do you think, Preston, about holding the edge down and keeping the center tight, nice and tight?
I mean, I think it just comes from like what I said about Moapa is that we need to be able to recognize it more and be more aware on the field. And, we're not going to be able to stop every play.
Sure, no one expects that.
It's not going to happen, but I think they did it better this game, that they were able to recognize, some of those bubble screens that are going to happen. And, our linebackers are waiting for that running back, or, those deep passes that, Derek was waiting for it, or but I mean, it's just we're not going to be able to stop every play. So they're going to get a play around the edge or up the middle. I mean, it's just not going to happen. But I think for the most part, this team was really better at stepping up and being able to recognize what's going on the field and just that knowledge of football of, oh, okay, I saw this last time.
Yeah.
It's going to happen again. I'm be ready for it.
Right.
And I think that every team we've played other than Moapa have had a similarly situated type of offense. Very similar to us. They're a lot more pass heavy. And Moapa runs the same thing they've been running for 30 years.
Right.
It's the same offense.
But we gotta
they run
stop
it in youth.
Why,
they run it. No, I agree.
Why wouldn't you run it if it works?
I understand, but I'm saying that ultimately we are better prepared for teams that are like us because our defense practices against our offense. So we know. So we have to. And I know Bubba will. Like they know what they're doing. They're going to make those adjustments when we play Moapa again.
Yeah, we're just commentators.
Yeah, exactly.
We just get to talk because there's no accountability on our end.
Exactly. I don't have it. It doesn't matter to me. But ultimately, I think we match up well with teams automatically because, again, we see it every day.
Right.
And Moapa runs something we don't see every day.
Yep.
So we have to make different kinds of adjustments. That's all it is. And, like I said, it was homecoming week. It was a tough week anyway. It
was exciting. There was a lot of things going on. But, it's all good. I think what Coach said last week, we're going to get another shot at Moapa guaranteed. I'm looking forward to it. I think what I was saying out there on the field, it's a good time to be an Eagle, and I sincerely believe that. There's a lot of new things happening, a lot of fun things happening. Your new Bears program,
I think
your brother's an assistant coach who's a great quarterback. I mean, a lot of things are happening. Good time to be an Eagle.
And I think the pipeline is now big. It's growing. It's big. The experience here is going to become more, and I think overall this program's brighter days are even ahead of us. As crazy as that sounds, as good as this team is. We may have, and I'm not looking past this year, but, we have a 5, 10, 15 year like longevity view of this, of building this program so that people are afraid to come into Boulder just like they don't like going into Moapa.
Yeah.
That's the long-term goal of this entire project on all levels.
Yeah.
And me and my brother were talking about this, how my year and, my age, we were the last people to play youth football in Boulder.
Mm-hmm. Your age.
Once I left, or once my age left, that was it. I had to go to Henderson football to play my 8th grade year. So, it's nice to see that people care now and want to, build that program back up. Because, those are the guys where we were making playoffs, was my group and Parker's age and all of our friends. It's because of that chemistry.
Yep,
and
that coach was talking about. Yep,
yeah, like
exactly.
you said, it's nice to see that these kids are going to be playing together from a very young age all the way through high school. And that's really what, builds a team, is that chemistry.
Man, yeah, you said it well. Well, we'll take it right there, man. Thanks, Coach James Krakulici, for joining us. Preston, always a pleasure. Thank you guys for joining us and listen to the podcast. Next podcast to come out is Denny Crine, should be out sometime this weekend or the middle of next week. And then right after Crine is James Krakulici, his podcast. It's a good one, too. We basically just kind of, just chat the whole time.
As anyone will tell you, I don't shut up. So we kept talking until we were getting texts from our wives saying, "Are you coming home?"
Yeah, exactly. All right, well, thanks, guys. Thanks, Boulder City. We'll see you, and good luck against Democracy Prep. Let's go, Eagles.
Go, Eagles.